On his son's birthday, his father gave him a strange gift. As it reached out, it wrapped itself tightly around his wrist until it bled. The father apologized to his son in a panic, saying it could not be removed. After speaking, he turned away and never came back. His son didn't understand why his father was so mean to him. But no matter how hard he tried to shake it off, it still stuck firmly in his hand. 20 years have passed. Ethan also grew up with a bracelet on his hand. But 10 years ago, the Earth experienced a catastrophic fire and destruction. And the entire Earth experienced an oxygen crisis. Until now, humans who are still alive can only rely on synthetic oxygen to survive. Synthetic oxygen, however, has a powerful side effect. Physiological rejection makes most people suffer from pneumonia. Ethan's wife is one of them. His condition has progressed to an advanced stage. Even when buying synthetic oxygen with good quality, the condition is still not completely cured. Then the guys from the company met Ethan. They forcibly took him to headquarters. This company is the only supplier of synthetic oxygen in the world. Maybe Ethan can save all of humanity. Ethan thought he was joking. So he was brought into a laboratory to take a look. After entering a very large laboratory, Ethan was immediately shocked by the large machine in front of him. It turns out that the object is a time machine. Scientists say that someone sent a message from the year 2467 and asked to send Ethan to go to the future. In 400 years later, they may have found a cure for lung disease. The white-haired doctor said that the current electric energy can only carry one person, and they don't dare to take risks. He believes Ethan can save all of humanity. But Ethan doesn't understand why people in the future choose him. And he realized that he was suffering from lung disease. Maybe this is the only hope to save his wife. The next day, Ethan came to the company and was going to time travel. Then he visited a place in 400 years. To save his wife, the man used the time machine 400 years later. But he never expected that the earth at this time is full of tall green trees. Ethan can get a lot of fresh air. It took a while before trudging up. After several trips, he found no traces of human activity. There is only an abandoned city and a few bones. This shows that humans are still experiencing an oxygen crisis and mass extinction. This makes Ethan confused. So who sent the message in 400 years? Ethan will travel guided by a cell phone-like object. He finds an abandoned laboratory. At the entrance, there is a skull lying. There was a bullet hole in his forehead. Even more surprising, it turned out that the clothes had his name on them. Even the bracelet is the same. Only the color of the light that distinguishes it. To find out the situation, Ethan also found a tool similar to his. The last tape recorded an altercation with gunshots. When night falls, Ethan intends to fill the stomach. He found a cherry and tried to eat it. But it turns out that the fruit is a poisonous berry. He started to feel dizzy and felt intense nausea. His consciousness also began to fade. Then he saw a figure walking towards him. After calming down, Ethan found out that the figure was his brother. Even his breathing had stopped. The scientists sent his brother to save Ethan. The next day, they searched the base's entrance. After finding the iron gate, suddenly a device appeared there. After scanning, the door immediately opened by itself. Once logged in, the computer gave Ethan a greeting. After pressing the button, the bracelet on his hand began to tighten. An excruciating pain developed. Blood flowed from his wrist. Then the indicator light turned green. Then the time machine started operating. This was hard to believe. And the machine could only stay connected for 4 hours. Ethan asked his brother this. Everything in front of me seems to have been arranged. It also made it really weird to know the ins and outs of the problem. Ethan opened a system log. It turns out that this time machine was made by his father. Just then he receives a message from 400 years later. But now the system fails to get power. And the time machine won't start. Even after the war is over, the nuclear power battery will explode. And humanity will lose its only hope. Both decide to leave into town to seek help. But everything ahead looks uninhabited. The whole city is full of vines. to continue human civilization. Both of them time travel to 400 years later. But both of them can't possibly go back to 2067. In order to repair the time machine, they go to the city to find repair kits. On the way, Ethan passed his wife's former school and found her skull. The skull was still clutching the gift that was sent earlier. Now Ethan sat down full of sorrow. Then the two of them started to fight. Even his brother pulled out a gun at him. It seems the contents of the tape frightened both of them. The communicator tells the machine the time is 2 hours remaining. The two let go of their bickering for the time being. After returning to base, Ethan quickly recovered power. He called his father again. But this time, he found out the truth of it all. It turns out that in the first laboratory, his father received information from 400 years later. At that time, Ethan was only 8 years old. His father wanted to wait for Ethan to grow up, so he could save humanity. But the woman has plans of her own. He wanted to send a few people to the future. Ethan's father strongly disagreed with this, because he was not in line with him. That woman killed Ethan's father without hesitation. Just want Ethan to go to the future to save humanity. That's what makes him now in 400 years later. The woman brought the chosen ones to teleport. Then Ethan questioned the government's qualifications. At this point even his brother did not know how to justify it. To prevent everyone from teleporting, Ethan goes crazy and immediately destroys the time machine. The conflict between the two really broke out at this point. He took the gun back. It was like a wound in the skull that he found. At this moment, his brother couldn't pull the trigger. After some painful struggles, he finally understood that he was the one who had killed his brother. At that rate, they wouldn't be able to break out of this cycle. So he killed himself. At this time, a new era in history will occur. Ethan's skeleton also disappeared there. Ethan rekindles humanity's hope. He went to the computer and was about to send his message to 400 years ago. In another place in 2067. After finishing his speech, the time machine suddenly gave off a reaction. It's like dazzling the people there. Then a plant appears in it. And there's evidence of the woman's shooting that killed Ethan's father. It turned out that before the count was over, Ethan put in an item that could save humanity. Then Etan plans to destroy the time machine, because he can't go back to the past. And now the woman was caught by the police. Ethan quickly made his way through the forest. When he reached the edge of the cliff, the sight in front of him made him cry. The present-day city has fully recovered. Maybe his wife has recovered from her illness. And the story is over. Keep following this page to get the next movie update.